Magic has always been about surprise, but sometimes magicians go too far. From death-defying stunts that nearly cost lives to illusions so outrageous they fooled entire nations. One magician even made the Statue of Liberty disappear right before thousands of people, and another buried himself alive with no escape plan. And wait until you hear about the trick that accidentally exposed a magician's darkest secret on stage. Trust me, number 14 will leave you completely speechless. And hey, before we make this list disappear, tap that subscribe button so you don't miss the next unbelievable countdown. 1. Magicians have been attempting the bullet catch for centuries. Catching a live bullet in their mouth or hand in front of an audience? Sounds impossible, right? That's because it is. More than a dozen magicians have died trying to pull it off, turning the ultimate trick into the deadliest stunt in magic history. The craziest part? Even after so many deaths, some magicians still perform it today. 2. In 1983, David Copperfield pulled off one of the boldest illusions ever. He made the entire Statue of Liberty disappear on live television. Thousands of people stared at an empty platform where Lady Liberty should have been. Of course, it was all camera angles and clever staging, but for that brief moment, Americans believed one of their greatest landmarks had just been erased. 3. Being locked in a coffin is bad enough, but imagine being buried under tons of dirt with no way out. Several magicians attempted this death-defying escape, and many didn't survive. One performer suffocated after the coffin collapsed, while another had to be rescued mid-show, nearly dead. The idea of turning a funeral into a performance trick is both insane and horrifying. 4. Not all magic is life or death. Some is just plain funny. During a classic dove trick, a magician pulled the cloth too fast and accidentally launched the bird straight into the audience. The doves flew everywhere, people screamed, and the trick turned into chaos. Instead of amazement, the crowd got a comedy show, proving that even small tricks can go spectacularly wrong. 5. One magician tried to up the danger factor by performing an escape act inside a coffin set on fire. The problem? The escape mechanism jammed and the flames spread faster than expected. Stagehands rushed in to put out the blaze while the crowd panicked, unsure if they were watching an illusion or a tragedy. That night, the line between magic and real danger nearly disappeared. 6. On a busy street, a magician claimed he could levitate in front of strangers. Crowds gasped as he floated inches above the ground, only for hidden camera angles to later reveal the truth. He was standing on a secret metal platform. What seemed like supernatural power ended up being one of the dumbest tricks exposed by curious kids filming from behind. 7. One magician tried to prove his courage by swallowing swords in front of a live audience. At first, the blade slid down his throat smoothly, but when he pushed further, he collapsed in agony. He had torn his esophagus. The audience thought it was all part of the act until paramedics rushed the stage. Survival magic had turned into a near-death experience. 8. Not all magicians rely on danger. Some rely on theft. A famous performer once entertained crowds by magically stealing watches, wallets, and even belts without people noticing. The trick was hilarious on stage, but imagine realizing a man just stole your Rolex in front of thousands of laughing strangers. This was magic and pickpocketing blended into one. 9. One of the strangest illusions ever staged was the vanishing bride. In a grand theater, a woman in a wedding dress stepped onto the stage, waved at the crowd, and instantly disappeared into thin air. But the creepy twist, her husband later revealed she had been missing for hours before the show even started. The trick was an illusion, but the mystery felt unsettlingly real. 10. During a small-town festival, a magician attempted the classic rope trick, cutting the rope in half and then restoring it. Except he fumbled with the switch and held up the wrong rope. The entire crowd saw him destroy the original and fail to replace it. Instead of applause, he got laughter and boos. It was one of the dumbest fails in magic history, proving that sometimes the simplest tricks are the easiest to mess up. 11. During a packed theater show, a magician attempted the classic sawing act, placing his assistant in a long box and dramatically cutting through. But when fake blood spilled out, the audience panicked, thinking the trick had gone horribly wrong. People screamed and rushed for the exits, proving that sometimes a magic act can look a little too real. 12. One illusionist tried to wow the crowd by making a luxury sports car vanish on stage. At first, the lights flashed, the smoke swirled, and the car was gone. But seconds later, stagehands accidentally rolled it back into view. The audience erupted in laughter, and what was supposed to be the trick of the century turned into one of the dumbest fails in magic history. 13. In a small European town, a magician scammed locals by promising to double their money with a secret magic formula. People handed over bills, which he made disappear in a puff of smoke. But there was no return. He simply pocketed the cash and vanished from town overnight. This wasn't magic. It was theft dressed up as illusion. 14. One of the most shocking accidents happened when a magician staged an escape inside a steel cage rigged with fireworks. The countdown ticked down, the crowd held its breath, and then, boom. The explosives went off too early, sending sparks into the audience and shattering the illusion. Several people were injured, and for a terrifying moment, everyone thought the magician was dead. Number 14 is remembered as the stunt that truly went too far. 15. Sometimes the funniest disasters come from animals. At a family festival, a magician pulled out his top hat for the classic rabbit trick, only for the rabbit to leap out early, race across the stage, and knock over the magician's props. The crowd laughed uncontrollably as kids chased the runaway animal, and the trick collapsed into pure chaos. 16. One magician promised to levitate across the Grand Canyon. Crowds gathered and cameras rolled as he appeared to hover above the massive gorge. But behind-the-scenes photos later revealed hidden wires and cranes. Instead of wonder, the stunt became a global joke, proving that not every grand illusion holds up under scrutiny. 17. In an attempt to outdo his rivals, a magician staged an escape from a cage full of hungry lions. At first, the act seemed thrilling, chains clinking, animals roaring. But the stunt nearly turned tragic when one lion swiped at him through the bars. Assistants rushed in, and the crowd went silent. It was less magic, more madness. 18. Not every trick is high-tech. At one show, a magician pulled out a deck of cards, promised the impossible, and promptly dropped the entire deck on the floor. As he scrambled to pick them up, the audience burst into laughter. What was supposed to be a simple card trick turned into one of the dumbest and funniest fails in magic history. 19. Sometimes magicians blur the line between illusion and belief. One self-proclaimed sorcerer claimed he could summon spirits on stage. He dimmed the lights, chanted, and made objects float around the theater. But when wires snapped and props tumbled mid-act, the audience realized they were watching a cheap setup. What was meant to be terrifying became embarrassing. 20. The end of a career can come from a single mistake. In one infamous performance, a magician bungled his grand finale so badly that his secret mechanisms were exposed to the entire audience. The crowd booed, videos leaked, and overnight, his reputation was ruined. It wasn't the trick that disappeared that night. It was the magician's career. From vanishing monuments to stunts that nearly cost lives, these magicians proved that sometimes the greatest trick is simply surviving the act. Magic is about illusion, but as we've seen, the line between wonder and disaster can be razor thin. Which of these blew your mind the most? Drop your pick in the comments below, and if you thought this list was wild, wait until you see what we have coming next. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.